we're going to be breaking down my run for the challenge mode of EXGA-8. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it. This is going to be a little bit of a challenge. So I decided not to do the EX stage as a breakdown just because I thought this would be a little bit more fun. Basically, I put out gravel here to bait the initial shots. So I wanted to get as much of his shots done as I possibly could because he goes down this little staircase here and he ends up over here by the tower. And he can't replenish that ammo. So if I do it correctly, which I think I do in this run, I'm able to bait a lot of his shots in order to get everything going for kind of a big duration of attack at this little pinnacle here. And we'll talk about it when we get here. So now I'm just kind of putting out DP. So we have the Myrtle and Flametail. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of gravel at that last little shot just because, you know, I'll get the DP back a little bit. And we're putting Mountain out to deal with a lane holder issue at the very beginning. All these guys are going to come up. I need somebody to hold the lanes for a little bit. And we get everything going. So basically everybody's going to be getting DP. We're going to have a lot of DP at the very beginning. I think I could have probably structured it a little bit differently with all this DP. I had a lot of stuff going on at the beginning where I just didn't have any units out. So I was just generating DP quite a lot. So we did decide this time though to get the Exia out to take over these initial 2 towers here. Now I was putting Exia over here to help with the boss. We found out that that was not necessarily needed once I got Jay and gravel here. So we went ahead and we're like, you know what, let's go ahead and decide to use Exia to take over these towers. She's like pretty much the best to do it because of her ult. She's able to really tear down the tower's defenses there and stuff. So this is going to be pretty simple. We're going to let Exia do her thing, get the DP while we're going. Mountain's just going to sit there and be Mountain. He's going to just, you know, kind of tank everything. And then Exia is going to be a little bit short, but we're going to go ahead and let her stay there. Now, I do let the initial attack hit the tower just because I know that it would have bounced back and forth had I put gravel out initially. At least that was my thought process. And then we go ahead and we put gravel out. So we're going to put gravel out. And I'm trying to decide because chat was kind of roasting me a lot because what I will do, and I'll kind of explain it as we do it, is I kept putting my defenders and people or like guards and stuff like that and fast redeploys and stuff like that towards him instead of away from him. So like instead of using his pathing, like I do here with Jay, where I face it away, so where he's actually going to walk and he's going to be able to do damage since he's unblockable, I had a habit of facing towards him. Now I do it for Searcher just because of her actual skill is going to be able to target him, but I struggle with that quite a bit. So we're going to do quite a bit of damage here. We're going to get everybody out, Radiant Knight and all that stuff, and we're going to have Jay help out a little bit. So Jay's going to be a little preoccupied, hitting a couple different things. As you can see there, he had a enemy that he was fighting, but this is going to be kind of the bread and butter here for a little bit. I'm trying to decide if maybe I should put Mudrock out, what I'm going to do with these carts. I think I decided to bait them with gravel, so I'm going to go ahead and pop gravel out. I don't want there's a lot of times where I let it happen and I would have it go down to Myrtle and Mountain and they died. To put it bluntly, they just kept dying. It ruined my run. And then I just have Surtur take on the other carts as well. I don't think I necessarily kill him here. He's going to end up walking through. So this is where I was actually using Exia before because we were able to kill him first phase on this little pathway, but I decided it's not necessarily like the worst case scenario to let him walk since we have those 2 towers over there. And then I put Mudrock out. So Mudrock was always going to kind of go there. That's where she's been going for quite a bit. And then I bait some of the cards just because Mudrock can get a little overwhelmed with some of those cards. And then I'm just going to go ahead and let it play here. I'm just deciding whether I should try to tank down the boss, what I should do for phase 1 and then into phase 2 as well. And then I decide, you know what, I'll just let him walk and maybe I'll kind of do some damage with like Jay or something like that as we go. And then I'm also trying to decide where Amiya needs to go because Amiya is going to do her skill 3 here. We actually use her skill 3 and not the way that I was doing in the EX stage. So when I was doing the EX stage alone, not the challenge mode, I was using Amiya not the right way. So I'm actually kind of happy with the way that we actually decided to use Amiya here. So again, this is where just a minute ago, I faced Jay towards the boss and not towards his path, which I guess it actually works out here because he does stand there for a couple of minutes, but it would have been a little bit better, I guess, to face him away towards the path, which I just was struggling to do. So now we're just trying to decide, hey, do I actually tank him down at this point since he's so low health? I think I go ahead and put Exia out, hoping that she'll get her actual ult in time to buff him down a little bit. I was hoping that I would be able to get phase 1 done over here and then have time to bait the initial shots before they got over to Mudrock, because I knew if I got to Mudrock, it'd be kind of a bouncing frenzy and it wouldn't be very fun. So I'm also trying to decide when to get Amiya out. Am I going to do it after he walks by? Am I going to wait? Orin's on his way out. So Orin's also like, man, he might as well be a mini side boss. If you don't know how to do anything with him at the beginning, he's really not that hard. Once you kind of figure out, you could just kind of spawn camp him and kill him, which is what I end up doing. But initially, if you let him walk for a very long time, it's kind of like, oh, that doesn't really work. But here we go. We're just kind of throwing everything, the kitchen sink at him to get his phase 1 down. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to put Amiya out. Then I'm like, wait for the scan. And then I don't know why I actually waited any longer than this, because at this point there was already 5 ops procced for the initial scan. I was just waiting, I don't know, for like just in case. And then I put me out, Surtur out. And then this is kind of where, like, you know, he can't really do anything. So he's just going to stand there. I'm going to Surtur him down. And this is basically like, hey, Orin's now useless. So this was nice because initially I was letting him walk on the top and then baiting with Gravel and then doing Surtur anyway. But we were able to take over these towers, which really help out. And then I'm going to get buff for Amiya with Warfran. But I was trying to kind of figure out where I wanted her to go, just in case. And this is going to be funny because you guys are going to see what happens with this. I was trying not to buff somebody else. I knew that eventually I would accidentally put somebody there, so I was trying to make it 100% only Amiya, which I'm guessing you could probably tell what happens here in a minute, but this is kind of a meme. Now I'm trying to decide, okay, so I'm going to bait his shot. I do it with Gravel. I bait the initial shots, put Jay out just for some extra damage here. At this point, I'm really just kind of slowing him down a little bit for Amiya, trying to get him to kind of turn around and fight as he's kind of going, so I have a little bit more time for Amiya skill 3, and I'm able to proc it the most I can. I did turn her left. Initially I was facing her towards the actual boss, but he'd get to a point where obviously he'd go too far down and she couldn't target him, so I was facing her left, which is kind of like on the cuff here because he's technically in Amiya's range right now and I don't have skill 3 all the way. Now this is where I listened to chat and I shouldn't have, because they're like, hey, bait, you need to bait. And he didn't have his skills, so Amiya wasn't going to die here, especially with the heals. There was no real reason to actually bait anything at this point, but I was like, okay, whatever, I'll put Phantom out, we'll bait it. I'm not sure why, but we'll do it anyway. And then I'm like, okay, so Amiya's ready. I'm going to proc that skill, Warfran. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to Warfran it, and I'm going to have her stacked to the max. And now you probably realize what I've done. Phantom, my boy, he's buff now. He's very strong Phantom, but he's pretty much useless. He's able to get a couple of hits in, not do too much damage. I put Xe out hoping that her skill was like able to kind of help a little bit. Unfortunately, it did not. Now, this is where I thought though. So initially where I was at right now, I thought that he'd already gone past his like second walkthrough. So I thought he was going down to Flametail at this point. I was like, okay, I think I lost. I was like really worried that he's going to the blue box. And luckily though, which I end up screwing everything up. That's why I start getting kind of panicked. I'm like, okay, everything's screwed up. He's going to go down here to this box. I was getting Radiant Knight ready. Then I was like, wait, actually, I don't think he's walked by yet. And then I realized that this was like his second walkthrough. So he still had another round. And I'm like, oh, big sigh of relief. Cause like, okay, even though I messed up with Amiya a little bit, not getting that buff there is redemption. I can initially do it. And at this point, it's really not that bad. He's damn near close to being dead. A couple more Surturs hit and stuff like that. So I go ahead and I put everybody out kind of to help along here. Jay is he's there. I don't know how much damage he's really doing, but just to kind of do with Surtur as well. Now the initial of the idea here is the reason that I don't put Radiant Knight out here is because I'm hoping that if I need him to need her to come out and stuff like that, I'll have her ready. And I was actually hoping that I'd get a little bit better RNG here. And unfortunately he deployed his next like little dodge area or whatever, so I wasn't able to quite get him here. You can see Surtur is basically missing everything. The RNG on this is insane. I end up losing the 2 towers on the right as well, and then going through it. So he's basically one shot. And at this point I could have saved that top tower, which is what I should have done, because it's not really fun to take back from the cart bros, but everything happened a little bit too quickly. So now my initial idea is like, okay, I'm just gonna wait for him to get past his little dodge zone, which is down here next to where Flametail was, next to the blue box. I'm like, I'll put Radiant Knight out and I'll kill him. Now I could have actually put Jay here, realizing after watching this back, I don't necessarily need to use Radiant Knight, and I could have used her for the carts or something like that to help out with the little load that I have towards the end here. But I go ahead and I'm like, okay, well, the next stage is going to be the cart, so I'm not even worried really about him at this point because I know he'll die. But I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to take back these towers so these carts don't continuously send the mini carts? And then I just decide at this point that I'm actually not going to take back those towers. I'm just going to try to line up at the top with Surtur and see what I can do. The dodge field's still up there and it's still going to be permanent. In case you guys didn't know, those are actually permanent throughout the stage. So anybody who walks through it, like the carts, will actually get dodged, and you'll see what happens here in a little bit. But we pop Amiya out to get ready for anything that might happen, kind of get her S3 started. And then you can see that Radiant Knight sits on the boss's face for like 2 seconds and he's gone. So it didn't take too long for him to die. I wasn't really too worried about that. So like I said, I could have used Jay there and probably had Radiant Knight for maybe this and maybe a different setup. Maybe I could have done the card that just initially came out closest to Mudrock, and that would have been a little bit better. But now I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll just get everything set up. Amiya's kind of in a good spot. Now I'm trying to decide what do I need to do to bait the initial like small carts, because Mudrock will get a little overwhelmed. At least that was my thought process. Some people in chat said that she wouldn't, she'll live, but I was like, nah, I'm not going to bait that. So we're trying to decide, okay, Mountain's going to come out and I don't know where Mountain's going to go. So I decided that I'm going to put Mountain above Mudrock. And I think that's what kind of happens. And then we're trying to decide if I need to also put out heals. So I was like, okay, let me heal Mountain, because we were initially going to heal Mia, but she wasn't really going to get hit anywhere there. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. I spent a long time paused here. I'm talking through it because I'm so damn close that I don't want to lose. So then I ended up putting Warfaran on the kind of outermost tile at the top here where my cursor just was. And then I'm still talking through basically like, okay, which way are they going to go? What's going to happen? Warfaran does come out, and then Mountain goes out above Mudrock, which was initially what I was going to do. And then I'm trying to bait the carts. You can see that Mountain's kind of having a heck of a time here. So I put out Gravel to help out bait some of the carts so he can get his health back. Exia is actually going to take back the towers, is what my hope was. But then I was like, damn, I actually don't have enough DP at this point to get my Surtur out when I need to. So I made the executive decision to get rid of Exia. There were some people in chat like, why did you do that? Because you could have just taken those towers. Exia would have been fine. But I was afraid that Surtur, like the carts would get too far and I wouldn't be able to use Surtur the way that I wanted to, because I wanted to have these two carts at the top line up. I know that the dodge field was there, but I was willing to take a risk on it because I knew that Radiant Knight would probably be up by the time that they got all the way down, and I could use her as backup. That was kind of my thinking. I was like, okay, we'll risk the RNG with Surtur, try to get them to a point where they're dead. I put out Gravel to bait some of the carts. Jay's in the middle of that, just trying to do as much damage as he can, obviously. And then we're just kind of going. So Amia has her skill 3. I'm waiting for the right time to proc it because I want to be able to use it on the cart in front of Mudrock, but I also want to be able to use it because there's a tile right above Mudrock that Amia can hit as well. So if I time it correctly, I'm able to kind of kill that first cart in front of Mudrock. I'm able to kind of reposition target those top two as long as I have the duration of the skill. So that's why I was kind of timing it to the very last T. I'm kind of stopping these guys at the top, which actually, you know, going back to it, I think that that was kind of a mistake. I was hoping to keep Mudrock alive for a little bit longer, but I think I could have done more damage. But in the end, I guess it doesn't really matter. So now I'm kind of like at the last bones here. I'm like, okay, the real test of time is going to be getting Radiant Knight out. And I decide to put her where Mudrock dies. Now everybody's freaking out because they think that I'm about to lose. They're like, no, she's obviously only at 1 block. I put Jay out. Amia's skill still's happening. And I'm like, no, chat, we got it. It was easy. So we ended up getting it. There was kind of a scuff at the end, of course, but I did have that kind of like not logically played out, but I knew that Radiant Knight would be available and easy to use basically in case I needed it. Now this is the best part. I actually got level 69 after beating the CM. So anyway, that's going to be my breakdowns. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to like the video if you guys enjoy the content and sub to the channel if you guys want to see more Arknights content. And I'll see you in the next one. Have a good rest of your night, guys. Peace.